Hello.
Oh, yes.
Diablo IV community. To another episode
Adam
of
Łuczarz,
Diablo IV Campfire Chat.
Janusz
My name is
Przypiórka.
Alex Fletcher. I am the director of community here for Diablo. Of course, I'm joined by two very familiar faces here. Mr. Joe Shelley, game director of Diablo IV. Mr. Joe Piper.
Janek Skorupa, Janusz Przypióra i Adam Łuczarz.
Quick stream to go over some stuff that's coming down the road.
Fir, dzięki za Prima, Hoger, dzięki za Prima. Wielkie dzięki, chłopaki.
And Midwinter Blight. So lots to talk about. But what's kind of cool about this stream is that it is our final stream of the final stream of 2023.
We're closing it out.
We're closing it out, and this is actually.
Jezu, myślałem, że jednak przyznają się, że porzucają produkt i dlatego to będzie final stream.
Diablo IV developer updates on. Was it mid-December?
Fergusona nie ma, bo badanie kolonoskopii ma dzisiaj, wiecie.
Anniversary now, and of course, on that debut stream, I had these two wonderful gentlemen who joined us as well. So yeah, we have a. It's been a year. It's crazy.
Który będzie Wowik? 22?
We
Za
went
2
from hand
godziny?
models
Yeah,
to
hand
holding
models.
maps and things like that
Yeah, that was
to
fun.
Campfire chats, which we even brought to Blizzarda.
Ej, nie, naprawdę, Skorupę powinien wypierdolić dawność z tego. On daje taki negatywny vibe do tego Campfire czatu. Mi się smutno to ogląda, siema Dagger. On tu tak nie pasuje. Nie dość, że nie potrafi odpowiedzieć na żadne pytanie, nie dość, że nie ma pojęcia na temat gry, to jeszcze siedzi tak, jakby przez chwilę ktoś umarł, kurwa. I przytakuje, nie? Ty ma zerową prezencję. To jest minusowa charyzma, stary. Masz charyzmę tak niską, że w grupie dwóch typów, którzy się nią potrafią wykazać, ty ich ciągniesz w dół. Cześć, Tytanitus. Niesamowite, nie? Vanguard, dzięki za Prima. Jaki serw będziemy wybierać, chłopaki, jak tylko się odpalą.
Enough space for a regular player to feel like they are good in terms of being able to store the things they need is baseline functionality.
Yeah.
And we have no plans to add any pay for power to the game.
Yeah,
No pay for power. Czy będzie dzisiaj no hit? Dzisiaj nie. Dzięki za 25 zeta.
Będzie no hit dzisiaj w cach.
Słuchajcie, siły może nie będzie można kupić, ale quality of life'a już może. To niesamowicie ciekawie pokazuje, w jakiej oni są pozycji, że się muszą tłumaczyć z tego.
The first thing we did want to mention, though, is actually Midwinter Blight, which is an event that is actually going to be coming up here on December 12th. It is our holiday event. It's actually our first holiday event. It's funny because people have asked us about, hey, what about Halloween? We kind of remind people that Season of Blood is kind of Halloween.
Słuchajcie, prowadzisz stary Diablo i nie robisz eventu na Halloween, a robisz na kurwa święta Bożego Narodzenia.
Exactly. So Midwinter Blight coming December 12th is our holiday.
Choinki będą w Diablo. Nie kurwa stare trupy, demony, wampiry, stare duchy, nie. Święta Bożego Narodzenia. No kurwa, oni odklejeni są. Detra, dzięki za zgiftowanie 5 subów.
I know that people got a chance to see some of the video stuff before, and we talked about it at BlizzCon, but Midwinter Blight is obviously our first true and proper holiday event where we're going to be sanctuary in Diablo IV. In it, we're going to be visiting the Fractured Peaks again, where a horrible storm has descended upon the people of the here we are has descended upon the people of the Fractured Peaks. We're going to be introduced to a new character named Gillian, who's a bard. Gillian is here trying to rouse the spirits of the people of Kiovashad, trying to help them work together against a new threat that's emerging from the hills and mountains nearby, coming down from the glacier and down from the mountainous peaks nearby.
Ja cały czas czuć inspirację Wiedźminem, jak oni mają jakąś niezdrową fiksację na tym punkcie.
I think that anyone that plays music in the Fractured Peaks is generally trustworthy. Okay. So I think that you're going to be
looking a little sketch there.
I don't know. I trusted all those folks in the past.
I don't think that's fair to those of us
Piękna morda, nie?
who have nice facial hair. I think that Gillian is a perfectly trustworthy person. So with that in mind, so Gillian's there trying to rouse people together, and they're going to be sending the heroes of Sanctuary off into the Fractured Peaks to fight against this new threat the Red Cloak Horror and his minions. Are out there kind of like causing great mayhem. They're kind of erecting these disgusting snow sculptures out of discarded parts throughout the environment. Yeah, here is a group of the Red Cloak Horror's minions.
Wow, gold menu stary, nie było, kurwa.
Very, very dangerous creatures. But they're also fun. They're kind of like, they're having a good time with it. Like they're enjoying the season. They're in it for the spirit of it, which is just basically causing a lot of mayhem and destruction and pain.
Czyli na istniejące moby nałożyli teraz czaszki, tak?
As you're going through the event. Here is our main boy, the Red Cloak Horror himself. This is going to be your opportunity to go and fight this boss. Will occasionally pop into the
Kozoludy stary.
You'll get good rewards.
Kolejny res nieistniejących mobów, no.
And you will take all of these like trophies and things you're collecting from all of his minions, and kind of as you're engaging in various events and saving people in Sanctuary, able to bring these back to Kyovashad, be able to unlock some really cool cosmetics.
Awesome, yeah.
Kosmetyki.
There's even
mamy to.
A few like kind of exclusive things for the beyond the content
Yes.
for this.
Zaczynamy
event,
kosmetyki.
such as, we have an elixir, for instance, that actually grants a little bit more experience.
Yeah. There's an elixir that grants 10% extra experience when you're drinking it. It also gives you other effects when you're active inside the fracture.
Czyli znowu łatamy grę kosmetykami i zwiększeniem szybkości zdobywania expa. Eliksir na expa teraz jest dodany. To nie jest problem tego, że gra jest nudna, nie, to jest problem tego, że wolno levelujesz, oj tak. Ale są świadomi, jak późne etapy gry są nudne, dlatego robią wszystko, żeby przeskipować.
Yeah, there's a new seasonal aspect you get to play with. It kind of like dovetails with some of the new shrines and things that we have throughout the environment. So
Gra jest nudna i powtarzalna, więc po prostu sprawią, że będzie krócej nudna i powtarzalna.
Yeah, so it's a lot of cool stuff coming in Midwinter Blight.
And these, the things, some folks might be wondering if the things like the elixirs and the aspects persist after Midwinter Blight ends, and they do, right?
Yep. They do, yeah. They will persist after the event ends, but you'll only be able to collect them now during this period of time.
Exactly. So like stock up. There you go. Yeah. Stock up for the elixirs themselves, and of course, Midwinter Blight is on December 12th. So make sure to log in, and it'll be running through the holidays for players to actually jump in and check out from that end. But the next other big thing...
Yeah, that's like 2 weeks away.
Exactly.
What's happening next week?
Yeah, what's happening next week? So we're actually going to go back to the week prior to December 12th and on December 5th.
As you would naturally do. You naturally work out 2 weeks, then come back a week as you're talking through things. Yeah.
Dobry wieczór.
But yeah, we're actually going to move to December 5th, which will be the Abattoir of Zir. This is a new endgame mode that we're actually adding to Diablo IV. It's for a limited time only. It's a seasonal event specifically. That we announced at BlizzCon.
To jest to, czego ta gra potrzebuje. Eventów, które są tylko przez chwilę w grze. Bo ma tak dużo kontentu, że ludzie by nie dali rady stary tego przekminić, jakby tego było więcej. Zajebiście obmyślane.
On camera, but he is mic'd up because we wanted to hear him struggle. That is Filthy Rich. He's actually a senior community manager on the community team here on Diablo. You may have recognized his name on our
Mius, dzięki za 4. miesiąc. Mirtobello, masz cały film na YouTubie na ten temat, wykrzyknik DS1. Siam Maciej. Patrz.
Okay.
O, głaskanie piesków w grze komputerowej. O, jestem kupiony, nie?
It wasn't clear. That is still a feature that exists in the game.
Yeah.
Say hi, Rich.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. There's a spin of friendship.
Jezu, jak ja gardzę takimi rozwiązaniami w grach komputerowych. To jest jebany Diablo, kurwa, a nie jakieś Simsy zjebane. Gardzę tym, serio gardzę tym, jak widzę coś takiego w grze komputerowej, która ma PEGI 18+.
We will run into other players, and it is on a dev build, so there might be some
To
debug.
jest takie tanie, ale najgorsze jest to, że to kupuje niektórych ludzi. Niektórzy ludzie są tak biedni intelektualnie, że ich to kupuje. Najtańsza ludzka emocja ich kupuje. Hype, dzięki stary za Prima.
Well, anyway, this is the first time we've done something like that.
That's absolutely right. And if you complain about it, we just won't do it again. And wouldn't you rather just see really cool stuff? I bet you would. So let's see.
Siema, Ryszard.
All right. So, Rich, what build are you going to be running here for us today?
Yeah, so on my side, I'm actually going to be running a popular build, the Ball Lightning build. I'm going to wait for Joe to kind of explain some of the earlier stuff, basically a lot of the gameplay loop stuff. But pretty familiar for those who've been watching a lot of the endgame material for Ball Lightning. Specifically for this, I really focused around like survivability.
To oni pokażą swój gameplay.
With a sprinkle of DPS, but I think before we get into
With a
it,
sprinkle.
sprinkle.
Yeah, ball lightning, known for it's low
Co on
damage
ma?
output capacity.
Shielda, TP,
So Rich here.
Cooldown.
Let's say we're talking about the Avatar.
cooldown depsowy i 2 spendery, Ball of Lightning jak działa. Siema, Acid.
Dungeon content experience for players to engage with that really unlocks after you finish the season journey of season 2. So if you really want to go and
Jak działa
start
ta
kind of going
trójka?
through this content, you'll need to have done
Bo
all
pod
the
lewym ma
seasons
Blizzard, a
beforehand,
pod trójką
be able
ma
to gain access to
kulkę.
the very first Blood Forge sigil you're able to craft here at the Occultist. Now once you've taken this sigil, this is going to open
Dzięki
up
bezimienny za
dungeons that are
25
going to be
miesiąc,
more challenging than a tier
który będzie WoW
Nightmare
o
Dungeon.
22.
Now there are 25 tiers of the avatars here for players to engage with, and each of these does get progressively much more challenging as you step up. Much more challenging than say going from like a tier 75 Nightmare Dungeon to a tier 76 Nightmare Dungeon. Going from a tier 1 to a tier 2 to a tier 3. These are really significant.
Ty no
steps
zobaczmy jak
in
oni to
comparison.
clearują.
So, and we want this because like we're giving like season 2's been a lot of fun. Like I'm having a lot of fun playing even my Firewall Sork right now. There's we want to make sure that there's a really good place for players to be able to bring all of this power they've been collecting from like whether they're farming Duriel for Uber Uniques or just they get a really, really great combination of vampiric powers. We want to have a place where they can go to like to really show off and like really push hard into a type of content. So that's the focus here.
Yeah, and we mentioned you mentioned just now that the avatar requires that you've completed the season journey,
Yes.
right? And so the season journey, the last step of the season journey requires you can skip two of the objectives, but there's still difficult objectives like kill Duriel, even if you skip like Echo of Lilith and the tier 90 Nightmare Dungeon requirement. And
Jezu,
that's
jak mnie
not
to śmieszy,
arbitrary.
że oni
That's
cały
because
czas gadają o
characters
takich
aren't able to do
dodatkowych
that,
narracjach w
they're
tej
not
grze,
ready
no
for
nie?
avatars here.
Co ty
So,
możesz
there are a
w
lot
tej
of
grze
folks
robić?
who are
Pokażcie, co w
level
niej można
100
robić, a
out
nie
there
gadajcie
who
cały
maybe
czas,
haven't
jakie to jest
completed
cool,
this
bo
yet,
możesz
got
sobie
this
pójść i
weekend
zrobić to.
So get your season
To
journey.
są sprzedawcy
Exactly,
stary z targu, no nie?
still
A nie game
haven't
deweloperzy.
completed by, this weekend or when Avatar
Oni nie
is here.
sprzedają
They
gry, oni
still
sprzedają
have-
ideę
they can still
grania w
complete
grę.
it anytime when
Cześć, arigato.
the seasonal event is actually going on
yeah.
and jump in even afterwards. So if you've got plans this weekend or something like that and can't finish it, don't worry, it's okay. You can still do that over the next couple of weeks because this event will be going through January or the beginning of January. It starts.
Right.
So
You still have time.
you still have time. So I know Rich here has actually, as we were talking, spawned a level 1 avatar using the sigils himself right there. So I think this is a good opportunity for him to kind of jump in.
No to
Yeah, so
zobaczmy
Rich
to.
has done a little of this content on his character here already. So he's got a little bit of a preview of how it's going to play, how it's going to feel to play through. But I think it's going to be pretty fun. Let's see how he performs.
Ej, a ta konferencja PoE jest teraz w trakcie? Ja myślałem, że ona jest później.
Character that I have is as close as I can be to being maxed out, because this is trying to be as relatively close to what I've been practicing on, which has been
Fajnie wyglądają te
tier
kulki.
level 100 Nightmare Dungeons. And I think there's a few things that I wanted to call out as well. On the actual
Ty no, clear time tego to
on
jest
the actual
totalnie
sigil
gówniany
itself, I
jakiś.
think one difference here is that I'm not aware of what afflictions I'm going to encounter in this battle. So I think capping things or getting as close to as capped I can for things like
gameplay z Diablo
my
3
armor,
stary, no.
my magic resist, my damage, and
Stary.
all those. Just really trying to be ready and prepared.
Greater
for any
Rift,
surprises.
stakowania
I know,
grup
Rich,
mobów na
because
sobie
you've played through Abattoir a little bit, you've built a little bit more survival.
i zabijanie
on
ich
your-
przez
on your
30
sword
sekund.
here, as opposed to completely glass cannon. He's a little bit more prepared than I think some other people would be. But I know with us showcasing here a level 1 Abattoir, kind of at least showcases a little bit. How would you guys compare this to like a Nightmare Dungeon in terms of like tier difficulty, or would it be similar to like a Nightmare Dungeon in terms of tier with a level 1?
Ty widzowie, a może mają to zastage'owane, że dropnie Szako na koniec i zrobią wow, ale Essa dropnął Szako. Ale to jest niesamowite, nie?
You'll see here right off the bat. There's some big differences.
Ty myślicie, że wywołają
on the
taką
side,
tanią
there's a
emocję?
bar that's being filled. Avatar of Zero runs are really races against time. So Rich here is really focused on killing creatures as fast as he can.
Gdzie nam
in
Marek
efforts to kind of beat
Zaprajma?
that timer and summon the boss at the end of the experience.
Siema
So, we've not
Smajrowski,
dropped
dzień
the
dobry.
form as
Ja
you kind of go
szamanem
through
będę
this
grał
thing.
w
We don't
Wowika.
want to slow you down. We want to keep you killing as fast as you can to show off your ability to kind of like survive in these environments. Now, as we step up, one thing we think is interesting about this is we actually taking one step back actually. Some of the things that Joe's talked about when we were at BlizzCon was our commitment to end game content and itemization rewards and things. The things we want to do to continue to make the game better. Avatar of Zir is like it's designed explicitly to appeal to players who are at this stage of the gameplay experience, and we're going to be using it to kind of like think about and iterate upon more features like this we want to bring out in the future. That's one of the reasons why it's a seasonal.
Nie, ja nie mogę. Widzowie, serio, ja się zżygam oglądając ten Campfire chat. Naprawdę, bez kitu jest mi niedobrze. Oni od kilku Campfire chatów pierdolą dokładnie to samo. Co by chcieli zrobić, jaka jest wizja za tym, jaka jest narracja do grania w to gówno i inne tego typu rzeczy. I to jest gadanie w kółko, stary, takiego sprzedawcy garnków. Nic więcej. To jest gadanie sprzedawców garnków. Siedzą i gadają w kółko non-stop dokładnie w taki sam sposób.
I'm gonna be 100%.
To mnie już to
honest
męczy.
with everyone
Serio,
here
mnie już to po prostu męczy.
I went super tanky because I think one of the nightmares that I would have is actually
To już jest
to
tak
die
tanie
in the middle
dla
of the
mnie.
demo.
No naprawdę, ja się czuję jak stara baba, której próbują wpierdolić zestaw garnków za 8000 złotych. Nie, po prostu jestem tak uczulony. Jestem tak uczulony na takie gadanie i tworzenie błędnej narracji, która nie istnieje. Naprawdę, irytuje mnie to. Ja mógłbym siedzieć i 2 godziny nadawać narrację progresu do Simsów 1, ale po co? Jak każdy dokładnie wie, czym są Simsy 1. Mógłbym to zrobić i każdy mógłby to zrobić. A to jest tak idiotyczne. Dobra gra komputerowa broni się sama. Jeżeli do twojej gry komputerowej musisz dorzucać taką sztuczną narrację, no to najwyraźniej z tą grą jest jakiś błąd, no nie? Jeżeli ty musisz tłumaczyć non-stop na streamach, czemu ta gra jest fajna. Siema Jakub, dzięki za 9. miesiąc. Gitara siema, dzięki za 16. miesiąc. Nie słyszę ich, bo coś pierdolisz, to wypierdalaj! I tyle, i co oglądaj kurwa ich transmisję, nie moją. Pojebało ci się coś w główce, kurwa synku?
I think in every single practice this has happened, but what I'm feeling lucky about is that I don't have a suppressor, which is definitely a nightmare for me and my ball lightning. But yes, I'll pass it back over to you because there's actually some pretty cool stuff.
Cool stuff. No, cool stuff. Jak już słyszę cool stuff, to dostaję konwulsji, nie? Awes, dzięki za 6. miesiąc suba.
Special glyph associated with the seasonal event, which is the Tears of Blood glyph that you can see here. Now, Rich has already spent a
Patrz,
little,
jaki cool.
spent some XP on this, upgrading it.
Ale super,
This
spend
is an
some XP.
extraordinarily powerful,
Wow.
Multiplicative bonus.
Extraordinary,
glyph that you can kind
kurwa.
of slot in.
Zwiększasz swój damage, stary, o 2%. Wow! Extraordinary. 50% bonusu za każdą rare notkę. Wow! Power creep totalny. Twoja postać będzie biła więcej. Ale to jest kurwa extraordinary. W życiu czegoś takiego nie widziałem w grze komputerowej. Szperka, który zwiększa... Nie, no nie mogę, bez kitu nie mogę.
This experience, the Tears of Blood glyph itself has like a lot of Paragon glyph XP that you need in order to upgrade it as you continue to like go on through the experience. And one of the things we wanted to do was make sure that if you're at this stage, if you want to experiment with other glyphs, you can still, like, you get giant amounts of XP from finishing Avatar of Zir level.
Giant
From tier 1, it's all 1,000 XP.
But tier 1, you get 1,000. So if you want to use this as an opportunity to kind of like rank up some of those other glyphs you've got because you want to play with other things.
Wow, wpadliście na to, że w grze komputerowej, która ma system rozwoju postaci, możesz połączyć jednego glyfa z drugim i twoja postać będzie silniejsza? Synergię? Wow! Kurwa, niesamowite, stary. Masz jednego skilla i możesz założyć na niego drugiego. Wow! Nie, bez kitu, no nie mogę tego. Jak oni na to wpadli?
Yeah, and like we just
Który
saw
bydyś,
this,
dzięki za
unfortunately,
Prima.
turn through a level 1 pretty easily. I don't know.
Nie wiem, jak oni to... Ale to
It was a little struggle. I got a little
nowatorskie podejście do gatunku hack and slash,
I
nie?
know, Rich, what sigils do you have here?
So I think what I did over there was a sigil 1. I think what we were talking about was trying to make like an engagement moment.
Ale nie rozumiem, to jest ten nowy endgame? Przecież to jest kurwa odpalenie dungeonów. Może mi wytłumaczyć ktoś nowość w tym, czy nie? Bo ja tego nie rozumiem, bo oni to przedstawiają jako nowy sposób endgame'u. Gdzie tu jest nowy endgame w tym? Czy to otwierasz dungeon tylko innym kolorkiem przedmiotu? O co chodzi?
I would love to reserve the 10 and beyond levels for a later moment.
Yes,
But
yeah.
Adam, you had a great idea.
To jest inaczej
As a
przeskalowany
reminder,
dungeon? Co
like,
to jest? Aha,
here's
to jest
for
dungeon, ale na
Adam
czas. To jest
Black
Greater
Black
Rift, tak? Czyli
So,
wcześniej mieliśmy rifty,
there
teraz mamy
are a
Greater
significant
Rifty.
amount of tiers, and they, of course, go up in difficulty by a pretty
Wow.
exponential amount as you're
Pamiętacie, jak wam mówiłem pół roku, że największym problemem Diablo 4 jest fakt, że oni próbują naprawić markę Diablo używając elementów z Diablo 3 i mechanik, które nie zadziałały w Diablo 3, bo ich nie rozumieją i nie wiedzą, dlaczego zepsuły Diablo 3. Dokładnie oni to cały czas robią z Diablo 4, konsekwentnie. Oni przykopyują każdy pojedynczy element Diablo 3 do Diablo 4.
builds a little bit
You have
here.
four
Well, so-
portions
No
to-
Greater Rifty
I
dodali.
mean, a few things here, I think, for the players at home is that obviously you saw that the previous one I was geared up to be a little bit more tanky because the last thing that I want to do is embarrass myself and die on there. But I think what Joe and team can do is also explain like how some of the scaling works as I go up. So I think I'll just go in. I think what I'm trying to balance out now is just try to add a little bit more damage output by sacrificing some of my tankiness.
Wow,
Just because I
założył
anticipate
tankowy
that the higher
przedmiot.
HP will
Wow.
be a challenge. And I just- I
Nie,
don't wanna lose
niesamowite,
the time.
ale super narracja,
And I actually
słuchajcie.
wanna see how far-
Założył sobie inny przedmiot, który mu daje więcej
You
przeżywalności.
went back in.
Wow.
Without acting.
Yeah,
You know,
so-
the nerves, it's the nerves.
Yeah, to Rich's point here, I mean, it's not easy to play games on stream, right?
No,
No.
it's not.
No, so this is why we're gonna have him narrate a full Romeo and Juliet
Nie, to jest
play to
to jest
us
żart.
as
Ta
he's
firma to
playing
jest taki żart.
to ensure
Full color commentary.
full concentration on this.
No, so to Rich's point earlier about how the
Nie,
scaling
jestem
works.
ciekawy, czy
So,
ktokolwiek
as we were
na
experimenting
świecie
with this
jest,
content,
kto to
one of the things
ogląda,
we
jest
discovered
tak
pretty
głupi,
quickly
że
is
to
we just didn't
kupuje
want
go.
to scale monster damage up, you know, in a really significant
Nie no,
way
stary,
as
no
we
dodali
go into
dungeony na
content.
czas teraz.
We
Greater
really wanna
Rifty
focus a
dodali.
lot more on monster health scaling as you go. Because we get quickly get to a
I
point where,
patrzcie
like,
teraz
any
na te
bat kind of, like,
w ogóle
flips through, which
afiksy,
basically
które
is
są na tych mobach. On nie może bić mobów.
vulnerable at that point.
Ci
And
idioci
it makes it a
wymyślili
less of an
afiks, który w
experience
hack and
overall.
slashu nie
So we
pozwala
wanna
ci
make sure
bić
we're thinking
mobów.
about, like, can you beat that timer? Can you survive the bosses at the end? You know, not as much as
Kto
that, like,
jest
damage
w
gets
stanie
so,
wymyślić
so
tak
high over the
idiotyczne
course of
rozwiązanie w
time
hack and
that there's just
slashu?
there's no opportunity
Masz
for the boss to
afiks,
really
który nie
kill you.
pozwala ci bić mobów.
Yeah, and the Tears of Blood glyph really is going
To jest zburzenie podstawowego filaru hack and slasha, czyli rozpierdolu na ekranie.
Equipped.
Oh, is it equipped?
So I did not, and I think one of the things that I wanted to do. I mean,
Patrz, ile on bije zwykłe moby.
me,
Stary,
I
co
think
to
as I've
jest,
been,
kurwa?
Going in and testing
Co jest
it,
hack
like,
and
I think
slash
it's
czy gra
actually been a
turowa do
pretty cool
kurwy?
experience to see like how it's been with and without.
To jest by the way postać na setnym poziomie, no nie?
Exploring a little bit more into it as well.
To jest wymaksowana postać.
While my paragraph
Aha,
build
ale te
is
moby mamy
optimized for what I have
157.
here, it's definitely
Aha,
a
czyli to
lot
się będzie
more
skalowało tak jak Greater
Also, you
Rifty w
didn't
Diablo
replenish
3.
your potions before you-
Czyli moby się będą ilością życia i damage'a w nieskończony sposób skalować i będzie cię to zmuszało do grania w grupach, które będą zbierać ogromne paczki mobów w miejscu i bić je przez 2 minuty, aż padną. Jezu. To jest najgorszy element wymyślony w Diablo 3 w Greater Riftu. Ktokolwiek grał Greater Rifty w Diablo 3, ten wie, jak to wygląda. To jest przeciwieństwo przyjemności, kurwa.
Well, it's interesting to see how valuable you were talking about this earlier. How valuable the vampiric powers are in this.
Nie, oni naprawdę muszą żyć w jakimś popierdolonym świecie, w jakiejś bańce, w której im się wydaje, że Diablo 3 jest fajne. Świetny clear, nie? Przecież to jest antyreklama. To, co oni teraz pokazują, to jest antyreklama produktu.
And I will
It's
say,
not just snakes, though. You can see other things in this.
We're near
Right. Yeah,
the
that's a
end,
great point.
by the way.
Each time you enter Avatar of Zir, you're going to have different.
Patrz, on w ogóle
monsters,
skipnął te
different
moby.
Tile sets, different layouts.
Nie, ja nie mogę patrzeć na to. Zżygam się. I znowu stary moby odporne na damage do momentu, aż nie zabijesz tego jednego na środku. Tylko, że ten jeden na środku jest w chory sposób przeskalowany. Nie, to jest żart jakiś. To jest żart. Patrz, tym mobom życie nie schodzi.
Everything seems
I
fine
will
here.
say, like, the normal progression for players will be,
Oh my gosh.
O, Essa.
oh, well then, that ends the story of Rich and
Did my
Avatar.
best.
I will say that the normal progression for players is not to go immediately to a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Chat deemed that you needed to go to a 10 immediately.
Yeah.
And Rich deemed that he did not need to actually equip his Tears of Blood glyph.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But this takes us to an interesting point. What happens when you die in a
Yeah, so when
Avatar?
you die in the video game, you die in the video game. So actually, you're going to lose your run because you have no respawns available when you go through a Avatar of Zir run. So you'll have to go back. You'll have to make another key. You know that progress is going to be lost. So
Yeah.
you'll have to go
And
spend most of your power.
yeah, so just a word for warning for like even like a double like I guess penalty for hardcore
No
players.
może Josheli to celowo w taki sposób stary ogarnia i siedzi tam i sobie myśli, ale chujnia.
You lose your run.
Huge double penalty. Huge double
One
penalty.
major penalty and one small one. So yeah.
I think I do want to just follow up on the mention earlier what happens at the very end. I think the trying to return back to the adventure, but being
this is
surprised by this is something that we
PR-owo to świetnie rozegrali, no.
Yeah, so like basically if you,
To jest,
the
słuchajcie,
portal's gonna
taka
be there,
sytuacja, jak idziesz
while
na
the event is
koncert
active, but unless you've
I
actually
pierwszy
used
gra
the
lokalny
tool
mały
to kick it
zespół,
off,
którego
you're
nikt nie
basically
zna, a
able to
potem
come to
gra
like kind of
zespół, który
broken
faktycznie
edifice
przyjechał do
here.
twojego miasta.
And there's
Oni
nothing
są
else,
właśnie
nowhere else to
supportem
go.
dla PoE.
I'd be curious
Nie wiem,
like,
kto u
if
nich
you
to
are
wymyślił,
with,
bo to
like,
SPOE było już dawno temu zapowiedziane. Normalnie ustawili sobie Campfire chat tak randomowo
When a player goes down,
chwilę
the run is
przed
over.
eventem SPOE i jest.
Okay, there we go. So I know there's a few people asking questions like, hey, if I'm running this with a group, if anyone dies there, it's a done run. So it is
Alexis, dzięki za 43 miesiąc suba.
Absolutely. And well, I mean, sure. I mean, one of the things really interesting about having content like this at the end games, we do want to make sure that there are lots of ways, as you've seen in season
Oni
2, to
cały
farm
czas
up, get
używają
the
tych
gear that
pustych
you want,
słów,
and make
jakie
sure
to
you
jest
get your power from
interesujące.
really, really powerful. But then when you get into the next tier
Czat,
of
jest
content,
ktoś,
like,
kto
you
po
want you to
prostu ogląda
continually
tylko na YouTubie, bo jest mu
always
tam
get more
wygodniej?
gear to always
Dajcie
replace
znać,
the
bo to
gear
jest
that you
ciekawe.
have, right?
Yy,
So, Tears of
Ze
Blood,
względów,
the
wiecie,
Blood
bycia
example of
content
us, like, kind of
creatorem.
experimenting with
Może
different
powinienem
ideas
częściej
of
po prostu
progression for
odpalać
players,
streamy na dwóch
see how these
platformach.
things feel.
Jest coś, kto na przykład zazwyczaj nie pojawia się na Twitchu i przyciągnął go do streama, faktycznie stream na YouTubie.
Reintegrate, aspects of your build every time you like kind of go through a content tier feels like we talk about quite a bit.
Kurde, jest trochę osób.
one
No
thing
to
I'm really
jest.
excited about
Widzowie, to
for
musimy
this
pomyśleć o
is-
częstszych
Tears of Blood
streamach
can be, like,
na
really, really powerful. Again, 200 tears, multiplicative damage increases.
na YouTubie, nie?
Continues to scale
To
as you go.
zajebiście
Very,
dobrze
very
wiedzieć.
strong.
Dobre wariaty
It's
z
gonna be
was.
fun to see players
Solidne
who
okieto,
are able to
ludologiczna
see how far
essa
people
w
can
waszą
skew
stronę.
that, like not use the Tears of Blood glyph and see how far you're able to actually get into the content.
Firon, dzięki za
I think
8
that's gonna be,
miesiąc.
that's gonna be very, very exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Exciting.
I'm hoping,
Już
players end up,
Szyj coś
sending us
strzeliło, stary, już z
tweets
tego
on social
exciting.
sorry, it's not tweets.
Po nich widać, po ich minach, jakie to jest exciting.
On social or posting on Reddit and forums of like how far.
Nie,
you
no, ten
can
Josh
actually
Shelley to ma
progress.
bez
It'll be,
kitu taką
really
minę,
cool to see,
jakby przyszedł
where
po
the
12
community
godzinach
went,
fizycznej
where
pracy w
more,
fabryce,
hardcore players end up
jadłby obiad i właśnie żona by mu zaczęła pierdolić coś w pokroju, czy kochałbyś mnie tak samo, jakbym się nigdy w życiu nie urodziła, albo jakbym była dżdżownicą, nie? I chłop tyra na całą rodzinę, utrzymuje dzieci, a żona mu po prostu pierdoli jakieś bzdury teraz, jak chłop chce w spokoju zjeść obiad, nie? Siedzi tak i...
tomorrow. So it will be available for people to check out patch notes.
I on to chyba słyszał, was popatrzył do
Thank you again,
kamery.
Rich.
Yeah, thanks, Rich.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for sacrificing your dev build character for this, which is nearly the same as your live build. I
Yes.
know.
This build I wanted to make as close
Siema,
as I can
Kazi,
to in
dzięki
terms
za
of a
pierwszy
one-to-one
suba.
representation of what I have on retail. I know for a lot of the people at home, it's important to try to have and see and play with something that's relevant to them. So yeah, just tried to do that. Excited to see everybody online. Let's farm up. Let's do this. See how high you can get.
Get your
Nie no,
journey done.
częściej dojść do
That is
takiego
the
etapu.
requirement for jumping into Abattoir Zir.
Prezencji na livestreamie, który ma marketingować twój produkt, że typ siedzący za kamerą, który po prostu ma zrobić jakiś randomowy gameplay, ma w sobie więcej emocji
So,
niż faktycznie
one thing we
hości.
do want to show off, though.
To jest niesamowite,
We
nie?
all have, well, I'm not zipped up. I'm wearing my Diablo IV bomber here. Oops. There we go.
Doing some extra hand
But
modeling.
yeah, we do have these really fancy little shirts here.
Shit, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You guys even remember the cue.
I remember.
Yeah, look at this. Yeah.
It's this is a playoff.
Oho, ty zaczyna się prawdziwy stream. Będą się rozbierać.
Made this wonderful saying before. Damage on Tuesdays.
Damage on Tuesdays.
And yeah,
It felt appropriate for discussing
we
itemization.
felt like this was an appropriate time to show off
We're like,
these
we're gonna take.
jackets
Well, what we'll do is
specifically.
we'll take the jackets off while Rich is playing. We won't forget to do that.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Well, we were supposed to do that.
We were
Yeah.
supposed to do that to have this be like a
That
better
would've been
bit.
So
Good plan.
instead,
That would've been a
everyone just got
funnier
to watch us awkwardly take off hoodies and jackets. So, but yes,
I think the people loved it, obviously.
yes, and I do want to give a shout out to Ricky on our art team.
Richie, yeah.
Sorry, not Richie on our art team, who actually ended up making these amazing Damage
Yeah,
on
I love
Tuesday
the
shirts.
graphic design on this.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
that's
cool.
really
Little rogue shooting through Tuesday.
Ej, kurwa, to jest po prostu
But
koszulka.
Itemization. I know we wanted to talk really quickly about that, and
Koszulka z napisem,
Yeah,
stary.
okay. So there's a lot to talk about. At BlizzCon, Mr. Shelley himself got a chance to kind of talk about a few things that we've got coming. We have going on. We talked about some of the problems that we see with itemization.
Dzięki Mega Dudnik
today.
za 16 miesiąc,
I
super.
think,
Itemizacja.
reiterate some of those points. As players are going through the experience, it is it's challenging the amount of mental bandwidth you have to use to process all of the items that you're collecting. It's difficult to find upgrades because there's a really low chance for you to get like a perfect rare roll. And generally in ARPGs, it's okay for it to be a low chance for the roll to be perfect, but there's
Aha, będą
such a high
zwiększać
degree of
szanse na drop.
variability in items right now.
Niro, dzięki za drugi miesiąc.
Usually it's like, okay, well, this item is 80% of what I want it to be, and that could feel okay to find that pretty regularly, but that could be kind of hard to find right now in Diablo 4, right? And feels almost virtually impossible. You can go through 200 pairs of gloves and not find a perfect pair of gloves, for your class. There's a lot of
Tofi Chris,
things
dzięki za piąty.
there's the number of different fixes we have. There is the fact that we don't have a lot of things in place that say like you can't have like multiple skill ranks.
Muszę ludożel
on
na
an
oczy
item. Like right now we
nałożyć,
allow you
bo
to have
tak nie
like
będzie.
3 different plus core skill
Będzie
ranks
ciekawszy niż
on an item
oglądanie
occasionally,
ich.
and that doesn't really serve anybody. So one of the things we want to think about a lot as we're looking towards 2024, because like it's December, we're looking back at a year of talking together and trying to paint a picture of like what we want moving forward for us. We want to be thinking more about like we have plans for.
Ja liczyłem, że oni się odniosą
solving
jakoś
these
do
kinds of
ankiety,
problems.
do cen dodatku.
We also see that there's not enough like runway with items either. Like there's a lot more they could be doing for the player when they drop for players.
To jest
So
duże
one of the things we
gadki,
want
to jest
think
zero
about
akcji.
more as we get into 2024 is having items really be kind of like the start of a journey. So when something drops for you as a player, we want that to be like cool. You want to be able to get this and say, this is awesome. I can't wait to do X, Y, and Z to this and make it like really, really great, right? Like this is the perfect thing that I need for my build. And to feel that you've got more chances like to modify and customize that and really incorporate that into what you want for your particular playstyle. That's important for like player expression, for build making. It does a lot for just making the game more exciting versus like every single time. we're looking for an
Co
upgrade,
nowego? Jak na razie
it's
dostaliśmy
only
Greater
whatever immediately
Rifty.
drops in the ground, and I
Czyli
kinda
jest
have to
ten
make a
sam
decision
content
based
co
on
był,
that.
tylko teraz
We're
będzie miał
only gonna
10
go a
minut
lot further
limitu,
than that,
jak
I
w
think,
Diablo
in the
3.
future for players. Now, these are
A i będzie więcej
the
expa
sorts of things
jeszcze
I'm
w
talking
Diablo
about are pretty
4.
big, right? Like in season 2, we made changes to the resistance system. We made changes like vulnerable damage being multiplied, making that additive. I think people that saw like we made a huge number of changes to the way that stats work and skills and a bunch of other stuff, right? Huge number of changes. And the reason why we did so much of it at once was because many of these things were very interconnected. And trying to improve these systems by doing like one small portion of it can actually make
Mi się
everything
wydaje,
worse.
że to jest,
'Cause this
to
is
co
now
oni
like
teraz
almost a
gadają,
little
to jest
island
ciekawe
with a
studium
different idea.
przypadku.
It's floating out,
Studia
not integrated,
AAA, które
properly
ma
into everything else in the
pod
game,
sobą
right?
najważniejszy
think
kamień
about
milowy
itemization
w
changes,
grach komputerowych pod względem hack and slashy. I co Campfire Chat przychodzą i gadają swoje przemyślenia na temat gry i odkrywają swój ponad 20-letni tytuł i zaczynają tłumaczyć rzeczy, które
Right.
Ogół graczy zainteresowany danym gatunkiem wie. Minęło pół roku i oni zaczynają gadać o rzeczach, o których ja gadałem, stary, w marcu. Niesamowite to jest. Ja nadal to powiem. Moja cena Blizzard jest kurwa niska. Naprawdę, na uratowanie tego produktu jest niska i opłacalna. $1 milion baksów. Przyjeżdżam do was, naprawiam wam tą zajebaną grę.
We'll talk. Yeah, sure. We're about to talk like a tiny bit about season 3. There's still lots of great feedback that we're getting from players about their experience playing season 3 right now.
Yeah, season 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sorry. Yes, feedback from season 2 that we want to try to to incorporate into season 3.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that we've seen with season 2, right, is this was you were talking about how we made a lot of changes to itemization. We made a lot of changes to builds.
Yeah.
There were some things that got less powerful, but we really sort of I think we did a great job delivering on some of the stuff we talked about back in season 1 in terms of making when we make changes to stats or classes or itemization, that we make sure that we're adding lots of new cool stuff. And I think we plan to continue to do that with season 3, right? So I think we've talked, I've said on social, like, hey, we're not
Nowik, dzięki za 5. miesiąc. To tak serio, jakbyście sobie płacili takie sensowne pieniądze, tyś odratował tą grę. No tak, $1 milion baksów, to jest moja cena.
Here, and we think that's really important because we built Abattoir of Zir based on the balance of the game as it stands in season 2. But then as you get into season 2, you can season 3. No one's going to say any of the right season numbers today. But as you get into season 3, you can expect to see some of those balance changes, kind of like what we saw in season 2, right?
That's right. So we'll change along those lines. We'll be able to talk about those as we get a little bit closer to the season 3 release date. And there's a bunch of other changes.
Dzięki za 4. miesiąc suba.
Well, the one thing about, I know you were talking about with itemization, we're prepping a lot of changes, and we've actually, we have talked to at least a group of Diablo partners, content creators already about
Diablo partners, content creators.
That are going to be coming in season 4.
To jest to.
That's right.
So,
To są ludzie, którzy powinni wam dawać feedback, ludzie, którzy wam walą lachę. Tylko po to, żeby dostać darmowy klucz do gry. Jakby się ktoś zastanawiał, jakie są profity z bycia Diablo partner creator, to od razu wam mówię, żadne. Bo kurwa i ja wyzywając ten produkt dostaję darmowy kod od nich, nie? Nie ma żadnego profitu z tego. Jak chcecie więcej na ten temat sobie zobaczyć, to odsyłam was do filmu Raju Quetzalcoatla, który pokazuje dokładne maile dyskutujące na temat Diablo Partner Content Creator. Jak to wygląda, jakie są oczekiwania, jakie są profity. No ale w skrócie żadne.
A box or something like that from that end.
Yeah, like Joe said at BlizzCon, like if end game content is one of our highest priorities, itemization is our highest priority, right? Like we're actively working on these things. It's just they take time because they're expansive, and it's gonna be better for the game bringing these things together into one big release. We're very, very excited about it. It was really fun talking to content creators about some of these plans and getting some of that initial feedback. So that's cool.
Ale wy czujecie, że tak jakby oni się sami zamykają w tej bańce? Oni gadają z content creatorami, którzy im po prostu dobrze. Jest częścią ich społeczności. Na siłę, no nie?
One of the things that we're doing based upon that feedback and feedback about Helltide is actually increasing the Helltide uptime. So basically, Helltide's going to be up every hour for about 55 minutes. It's going to be like a 5-minute break, and then it's going to come back up again. You to run through again. Yeah. It's going to make it a lot easier for you to farm those Forgotten Souls up.
Niesamowity feedback.
Yeah, we really saw that it worked well with Blood Harvest, and it's something we wanted to bring over to Helltide. I think there are more lessons from Blood Harvest.
Słuchajcie, wyciągałem lekcje stary z działającego produktu AAA, który opierdolili ludziom za 500 zł. Super. No, oni są świetni. Studio AAA pokazuje studium przypadku i za 2 tygodnie spotyka się na livestreamie i obgaduje problemy gry, które były widoczne na samym początku. To jest niesamowite. To jest dla mnie po prostu niesamowite.
they're looking for when it comes to like things like Helltide as well. So
Cześć,
it's just
Anita,
some of these learnings
siemanko.
that we continuously apply to the game, which has been really great.
Yeah, and I want to talk about another thing that we saw in season 2 that I've sort of been talking about as the
Nie no,
925
bez kitu,
problem.
no to jest jakaś tragedia.
When you first get access to World Tier 4, you can start getting the highest eye-power loot immediately from world bosses. And,
No.
and from Duriel if someone carries you through Duriel. And that, Duriel totally makes sense. It's a super hard encounter. It's a farming encounter, right? It's level 100. The world bosses probably shouldn't have a guaranteed chance to drop 925 now because we hate having players have good loot just because, you know, when I was playing through it, I was, 72, and all my gear was 925 at that point. And I felt like, where am I going to go from here? Now, it wasn't all...
Siema, Cyber. Dzięki za stary pierwszy miesiąc suba.
But there's another part of
Siema, Jasi, dzięki za czwarty.
which is that as you get toward close to
Ej,
100
nie,
and reach
to daje
100,
po prostu
it feels like
taką
there aren't
negatywną
enough,
stopę
there's an enough
PR-ową
variety
patrzenia na nich.
where you can get
Jak
925
firma
for reliable
AAA wystawia
work.
trzech
It
typów,
can
którzy
drop
serio co
from
2
Barcelona,
tygodnie
but it's a very
spotykają
small
się
piece. It can drop
i
from
gadają o
759.
zmianach, które były
And so it
oczywiste
feels
na
like,
samym
you know, things
początku
like turning
i
in
mówią o
tables,
tym, jak
turning in
odkrywają
whispers,
to
doing
wraz
some of
z
those other
progresji
ladder
sezonów i
bosses.
naprawiania tego.
And even in some in
Jakakolwiek osoba mająca wiedzę na temat tego typu produktów wiedziała to od samego początku. Oni wychodzą i pokazują graczom, że ej, my nie wiedzieliśmy tego, my się tego nauczyliśmy dopiero po drugim sezonie. Wy nam to powiedzieliście. No słuchajcie, idąc takim tempem, no to może faktycznie za 5-6 lat z Diablo 4 będzie dobry produkt, idąc tym tempem. Może w pewnym momencie nabiorą doświadczenia w grach komputerowych, ale jak na razie oni prezentują totalne dno pod względem po prostu wiedzy na temat projektowania produktu, jakim jest hack and slash.
Some changes coming with season 3 based off of feedback that we've gotten from players with season 2, things around Helltide, things around the 925. The eye level 925 items specifically. So,
żaden
but
z
yeah,
problemów
great to
Diablo
hear.
4
Lots of changes coming out.
nie wymagał feedbacku, a wiedzy. I to jest problem tej gry, kurwa. To nie była gra, która wymagała feedbacku na zasadzie przetweakowania tego, by uniknąć problemów obecnych. Nie.
For like ruining this transition. So I guess one last thing on itemization. So part of all of this is trying to find more ways to. What's this?
I love the lower third.
Oh,
This
wait,
is
back?
like no. Back to itemization.
Sorry.
As it should be.
Okay, yeah. So part of all of this is trying to find more ways to communicate, different ways to communicate the like what our intentions are, what our plans
No ale
are.
kurwa, no tak się
trying to
kończy
check them
stare
against, like,
tworzenie
the
produktu, gdzie zatrudniasz jako game leada typa, co cały czas siedział i robił te. Który siedział i robił FPS-y. No jest jak jest.
This isn't about kind of creating a grand reveal. That's not the point.
Right.
We want to manage expectations and also make sure that we're really, really happy with what we have, so that when we deliver to players, to be excited about it. So when we're ready to talk more about these things leading into season 4, we're gonna make sure.
Dzięki Buzel za 15 miesiąc.
Yeah, it's more about getting it right than keeping it secret.
That's
It's not about.
Yeah.
It's not about. Yeah.
Exactly, and then just goes back to like why we've already started talking to like even just some of our Diablo partners, our content creators, a little bit about it, just to make sure that we're not working within a box where we're trying to get this right and show it to everyone. So
Okay.
All right, so Q&A. This again, I'll do my preamble again. This is a good opportunity for people in Twitch chat to be able to drop in questions. I know chat's moving quickly, but we have our community team is actually in there. Like props to Lisa Casey in there right now and polling specific questions for Q&A.
Q&A widzowie.
Rich, by the way, no one sees this. We have a whiteboard in here. Rich is like, oh, Midwinter Blight. This is a question that a lot of people have been asking. It ends on January 2nd.
Right.
So people who are asking in chat, Midwinter Blight goes through January 2nd, so everyone is aware of that. And then Avatar Zero.
Byli dosyć zakaz wykonywania zawodu, oj tak.
So players can check out Abattoir Zero almost all the way through the
No
end
słuchajcie,
of
no tak to
season
jest,
two.
jak się prowadzi
Good
firmę,
reminders on these
w której nie
end dates.
zatrudniasz ludzi, którzy
I will
faktycznie
say
znają
that
się na
there's a
grach
question,
komputerowych i
before
grają
we
w
jump
gry
into the questions
komputerowe.
from chat. There was a question
Zatrudniasz
that
sobie
we've been
ludzi,
getting a
którzy
lot
pasują ci
online
do
for
twojego
console
imidżu
players
firmy, no.
specifically related to
I tyle.
trading that I do
Tak
wanna
się to
actually
kończy.
address as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I've seen, people have sent
To
me
jest
videos
pierwszy raz,
and
gdy
I
spotykamy się z firmą,
totally
która zaczyna
understand.
działać w taki
It has
sposób.
become very, very tedious to actually trade.
Widzowie,
gold. And since
podsumowując, co oni
gold
powiedzieli przez
accumulation
godzinę?
has actually,
Ja wam powiem.
grown within season two.
Dodają
Very
nowy
tedious as a
endgame'owy
console player to
content
trade
w
gold
postaci
using
Greater
UI
Riftów z
and
Diablo
user
3,
interface within,
czyli są te
within
same
the game.
dungeony, co
There's
były
been some gold
wcześniej, tylko
glitches
teraz
in
mają
season
limit
two.
czasowy 10 minut
And I know they
i
have
się
to, like,
skalują
manually
jeszcze
scroll
wyżej
their
niż do tej
gold
pory
and
i
it
będą
can be a
tak
little
samo nudne jak te w
difficult.
Diablo 3,
I
bo
will
będziesz
say
bił
that
jedną
is
grupę
being
mobów
addressed.
po 2-3
And the
minuty,
team
aż
is
padną, bo
working on
są
a fix for that. We're
w pojebany
hoping to be
sposób
in,
przeskalowane.
season three.
Yep.
So
To
players,
jest to. Będą
get
flaszki
a
na
little bit
zwiększenie
more,
zdobywanego expa o
I guess,
10%, żeby jeszcze szybciej się przypalić do ostatniego levela. Będą nowe glyfy w Paragon Boardach,
Exactly. So,
które
I will
będą
jump into
absurdalnie
questions here. We have,
silne. I nowe kosmetyki.
Why is Abattoir of Zir considered a seasonal event and not normal content?
Yeah, because we want it to go away at the end of the season. That's why. So because as I was kind of talking about a little bit earlier, but like
Siema Luis, siema
the
widzowie na
Avatar
YouTubie.
Zero is a piece of content. We're putting it out there, and we really want to see how players interact with it. We want to see
Widzowie,
what
którzy
people
to
like
oglądają
about
na
it, what
YouTubie
they
albo
don't like about
przerzut,
it,
pamiętajcie,
what
żeby
that feedback
subskrybować
and
kanał, no
incorporate
nie?
that
To jest
into
bardzo ważne.
You know, we are going to be looking for more like, we say things like, seasonal and
Oby właśnie, no, powiedzieli coś o nowych koniach za 65 dolców, no, to ważne.
With it, just kind of continue to level up, the base Diablo 4 experience,
Siema,
particularly
Kuboj.
in that World Tier 4 environment. But we want people to do that in a way that
Nie,
is,
te live streamy są tak nudne. Ja to oglądam, żebyście wy nie musieli, naprawdę. Ale ja żygać mi się chce, nie?
But with Avatar of Zero, this is
Siema,
this is
Oscar.
the first of its kind. This is the first time we've done something like this.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to learn some stuff from it.
No, stary deweloperzy gry, lead deweloperzy gry mówią stary na live streamie, że mamy nadzieję, że się czegoś nauczymy z tego. Hop z gatunku, który od 23 lat stoi naprawdę bardzo, ale to bardzo zdrowymi nogami na ziemi. Posiadając produkt, na podstawie którego stworzyli PoE. Oni są niesamowici w tym Blizzardzie.
Are we getting some sort of variation of this mode in future seasons? Are there like more big plans related to endgame beyond Abattoir of Zir for
Endgame, to jest słowo klucz.
Yeah, I mean, in season 3, we know that we're going to be launching the gauntlet and the leaderboard systems and trials.
Ale wy widzicie, że ich problem jest taki, że oni cały czas gadają o rzeczach do robienia w endgame'ie i myślą, że wsadzenie jeszcze jednego typu dungeona, który tym razem będzie czasowy, będzie ciekawym endgame'em. Oni w ogóle nie rozumieją instytucji endgame'u hack and slashu. Oni nie rozumieją elementu dopracowywania swojej postaci. Oni nie rozumieją elementu wyzwania. Nie. Oni myślą, że trzeba ludziom dać kolejny element, który jest jak praca, i to jest endgame. Dawid, dzięki za drugi miesiąc suba. Im się wydaje, że jeżeli do endgame'u dodadzą coś, gdzie będziesz musiał spędzić 3 godziny grindując, to dodają dobry element gameplayowy endgame'u. Rozumiecie to? Oni totalnie, ale to totalnie nie kminią, w jaki sposób powinieneś pracować nad rozwojem swojej postaci w hack and slashu i do czego finalnie ma to doprowadzić. Oni serio dodają kolejny element, który no, po prostu jest jedną z kolejnych rzeczy, które możesz zrobić w tej grze, ale no, jeżeli całość endgame'u na przykład w takim PoE kończyłaby się na tym, że masz mapy i sobie po prostu farmisz te mapy, to PoE by nie było w ogóle ciekawe. Robienie stary 150 CS-ów na streamie w Diablo 2 nie jest ciekawe, bo robię 150 CS-ów.
Y451 10 zł. To jest kurwa paranoja. Czy nikt z tych debili nie grał w D2?
Chyba nie. Dzięki Jasiu za dyszkę, bardzo miło. Wy rozumiecie to, no nie? Jaki jest problem tworzenia przez nich endgame'owego kontentu? Oni to pojmą, nie wiem, za rok, za 2 może?
so significant.
Dla nich endgame jest fizyczną powtarzalną czynnością, a nie elementem wyzwania, optymalizacji, dopracowywania swojej postaci i jej rozwoju. Oni totalnie nie rozumieją, czym jest endgame w hack and slashu. Mają zaburzone pojęcie. I mi się wydaje, że w endgame trzeba dać coś, co człowiek ma robić.
Nobody really wants, it's not, I shouldn't say no one really wants 3 or 4 resists on an item, but like there are some people that want 3 or 4 resists on an item. We're probably not going to do a lot of that in the future. There's more things we're doing to make it just easier to parse item to item, the sorts of improvements and benefits and make it more exciting for players.
Question from It's Doffy. Are there plans for more butcher-style bosses like Bloodseekers? Would love more types of these encounters, especially maybe during world bosses. That'd be crazy. But yeah, having like 4 butchers spawn in the middle of a world boss, that'd be fun.
It's just a different kind of world boss at that point.
Exactly. But yeah, any plans for like, I guess that it's that surprise type of element with enemies that come in.
Yeah, we love that the gameplay that we're getting from Bloodseekers, like dropping into dungeons occasionally. I think you see even just like the fights at the end of the Abattoir of Zir runs are already pretty fun because you don't really know what combination of affixes and Bloodseeker classes you're going to get when you kind of wrap things up. Looking for more interruption, disruptive content like that.
Dokładnie tak jest, Walker. No, koleś na 100. poziomie nie zrobił danga wymaksowaną postacią. Wracamy do tego samego. Glifa, by wymaksować, wystarczy robić szczelinki na 1. poziomie milion razy i go wbijesz, jak w mobilce, dokładnie. I według nich to jest endgame. Sztuczny poziom zdobywania mocy za pomocą po prostu fizycznej pracy. Nie optymalizacji twojego buildu, nie szukanie nowego sposobu na rozegranie tego, nie. To jest system rozwoju gier mobilnych.
I got 1 rawhide and 300 gold.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
A lot of people are going like treasure beast. What's that? Where we tend to use more internal names prior to when we actually develop real names.
The world boss with the big chest full of gold.
Exactly. So ignore our internal. Hey guys.
That was his internal.
Yeah, or utilize it and confuse everyone like we did.
Exactly. So you guys, I know that. We've gotten questions about, we still get questions. We're still getting questions because people didn't see the beginning of the stream. We do want to confirm that we did talk about and address the questions we've been seeing a lot in the community related to pay for power that have been swirling around. People talking about, are you guys planning on adding pay for power in Diablo 4? And I know that we talked about it in the beginning. We have confirmed that we are not planning on adding pay for power.
Cały czas będą musieli mówić o tym, że w grze nie będzie pay to wina.
Because there's a lot of people who probably missed the beginning of the stream. I do want to just readdress that there are no plans for that.
Again, we have no plans to add pay for power to Diablo 4.
Yes, everyone who's sending me posts on X.
On X.
I'm never gonna stop making jokes about this. I love that. I love it so much. Everyone who keeps sending me posts on X, like we get it. We still do not. The thing is, it's still true. There's no plans to sell power in Diablo 4.
Yeah. Cool.
Dzięki Maciek za 7 miesiąc.
Related to actually color palettes, because we've been seeing a lot of like customization and everything. This is from Comfortably Dumb.
Czy on dziś nie na Twitchu? Nie, no jestem i na YouTubie, i na Twitchu.
When are we getting more color palettes for transmogs? Also, pink is a color. They want to make sure people are aware that pink is a color and they would like pink.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, we don't get enough feedback on this.
Ale ważne.
I think that there's a lot
Widzowie, kolory zbroi, no. Nie ma różowych zbroi w Diablo. Kurwa, a to jest... Mi się wydaje, ja bym to dał chyba na sam początek rzeczy do zrobienia w Diablo 4. Więcej różowych pigmentów do gry.
Awesome.
Do barwników. Super.
Like, the Necromancer could really use some movement speed or skill abilities to help out.
Rework skilli? O tak, planujemy to, na pewno chcielibyśmy wprowadzać jakieś zmiany obecnie.
Jax has been on stream before. We've talked about like, the Necromancer specifically not having a lot of extra like
Imperator, dzięki za 4. miesiąc suba.
There is room for making these sorts of adjustments over time. There's not an immediate plan in terms of like, in season 3 we're going to do X. Like we don't have that. But we are trying to make sure that as we continue to release
ja wam powiem tak,
make more unique items,
nie da się sprawić,
that we're thinking about
że hack and slash z ich poziomem, z ich ilością skilli na postaciach i sposobem budowania buildów będzie ciekawy kiedykolwiek. Seren, przecież Nekromanta ma 20 skilli. To się nie da go zbudować w ciekawy sposób.
But we're also always looking for opportunities within itemization to also, buffet these classes and give them some things, these extra support they need.
Yeah.
Masz teraz 1000 widzów na Twitchu i 500 na YouTubie. Nieźle jak na pierwszy stream na YouTubie. Dzięki szczupak, ale nikt nie pytał o twoją analizę mojego kanału. To tak od samego początku, a 2 to nie jest mój pierwszy stream na YouTubie. Jakbym potrzebował jakiejkolwiek analizy, to bym kurwa sam ją sobie zrobił.
You kind of get diminishing returns on how exciting it is, because some of it is based on surprise and emotional resonance, right? And some of it is like another.
Miły jesteś? Nie, po prostu kurwa nie lubię, jak ktokolwiek inny mnie ocenia, kurwa. Nie będąc w takiej pozycji, nie pytając o to, wkurwia mnie to.
Season 2 is bringing like Duriel back, previously only part of the campaign, right? It'd be cool to do more stuff like that. But it also could be cool to play the campaign again on higher difficulties. Like, we want to have more ways for players to play the game, yeah.
And I will call this out. Davey B mentions Diablo ebooks with Joe Pipora. Reading when?
Yeah.
Joe?
Let me,
Narrator Joe Pipora.
I'll work with my agent and we'll figure out when I can start doing some voice work on the side.
Krytyki nie potrafisz przyjąć? Jakiej krytyki nie potrafisz przyjąć? To była krytyka twoim zdaniem, idioto? To pozdro 600, ty chyba nie rozumiesz, czym jest krytyka.
I know, Mr. Joe Shelley, you would like to say a few words to the Diablo community as we wrap up our final stream here for 2023 for Diablo 4.
Powie, przyjąć to ty chyba nie umiałeś kurwa lekcji ze szkoły. Niestety kończysz pierdoląc takie bzdury na Twitch czacie.
It's been a long year.
There we go. There we go.
All right. Now I feel more in the holiday spirit.
The fact that you own this hat is just very interesting to know.
But yeah, like we said at the beginning, it's been...
Lubię leczo, napisz mi coś więcej jeszcze na ten temat.
Pretty exciting year, right? Like we went from testing the game, doing beta tests, doing open beta, I remember getting my Shava horn and wearing it on my mount everywhere. I still wear it when I show up to World Boss.
I still wear mine.
Can know.
You gotta brag. You gotta be like, I was part of that group, that exclusive group.
Getting my wolf pup from participating in the beta.
Zaczynają cosplay klauna już powoli. Co stream będą dokładać jeden element. Teraz czapka, potem będzie farba, uśmiech, pomalowane oczy, pomponowy nos, te wielkie buty takie klaunów.
Huge complex character for the first time in a Diablo game. Finding out what happens with Lilith. And getting to meet all the characters along the way, right?
Co z tą krytyką lubię lecz? Napisz mi, to bardzo ciekawe, chętnie ją przyjmę od ciebie. Tylko rozwiń jakoś wypowiedź.
Hey, this...
Exactly.
Look, there's one quest designer who's like,
Ja czekam.
It's a fun quest.
No, but it was really, the campaign in Diablo 4, I think we're really proud of the work that we did there. It was really cool for players to experience that and share in it, and for people who pick up the game now to check it out. Of course, we launched Season 1, and we got tons of feedback on Season 1. I think we learned a lot from that.
Feedback. To jest to stare, co potrzebuje studio AAA, żeby stworzyć dobry produkt. Feedback.
Those of you who've been with us for a while, I'm sure, had an opportunity to give us a lot of that feedback. But one of the things that I want to point out here is that it's incredibly valuable to us to have players who are passionate about the game, because that's how we get the opportunity to...
Jezu, ale mnie za serce zapało. Oj tak. Grajcie ludziom na emocjach. To jest bardzo ważne, że wy macie pasjonatów, którzy grają w wasze gry. Kurwa, bardzo dobre jest też to, że wypierdoliliście ich totalnie na pieniądze bez mydła. Wydymaliście ich kurwa analnie po prostu. Za pomocą skinów, in-game transakcji, stary, platyny, battle passów, innych główien, early accessów i multum ogromnej ilości rzeczy, które w ogóle nie były potrzebne w waszych grach, no nie? Tak. Dlatego tak cieszycie się z tego, że pasjonaci grają w waszą grę. Dlatego po prostu wydymacie ich do kurwa samego cna, aż ich stracicie wszystkich po kolei.
The way that I sort of think about it,
Przepalacie swoją reputację, kurwa, tylko po to, żeby wydrukować sobie trochę więcej pieniędzy krótkoterminowo. Ale w oczach ludzi po prostu no wasz produkt staje się całkowicie bezwartościowy, no nie? Ale tak, kupcie, spróbujcie kupić ludzi teraz mówiąc o tym, że cieszy was pasja, kurwa. Jezu, oni są bezwstydni, kurwa, oni są bezwstydni, nie?
So yeah, it's just kind of undergirding your point.
Yeah, I think I can't say it enough. Blood Harvest, right? Getting to do Blood Harvest in season 2.
Bądź firmą, która na każdym etapie stara się ze swoich fanów wydymać po prostu ostatnie krople, kurwa.
150 lures together, farming that, getting,
wyciska tak jak stara kurwa spermę z fiuta, no nie? Stary ciągnie to tak, jakby się zaraz przewrócić miała, ale weź na sam koniec powiedz, jakie to jest istotne dla was.
Getting farm burial, right? Linking your mats to make sure that you don't have that one person who shows up for the first couple parts of the rotation and then
przewraca mi się wewnątrz, jak to oglądam, nie?
Getting to bring holiday events like Midwinter Blight. Like, we're really excited to be able to, we're all going to go away for the holidays. That's why I've got my hat here. And it's cool that when we go away for the holidays, we're doing it with a whole bunch of awesome content, new content.
Awesome content. Więcej przymiotników musicie.
And it was cool to see
awesome, extraordinary.
Steam getting nominated for a couple of awards in a couple of places, some player choice awards. I think players can still vote for that, so.
Co oni zaczynają gadać o nominacjach do Player Awardsów, gdzie byli nominowani w jednej kategorii? No nie! Gdzie ogromny produkt AAA został po prostu całkowicie opluty? Po co wspominasz o porażce? Shelly, co ty robisz, chłopie? Przecież z was się ludzie śmieją, że tak duży produkt i tak duża firma nie została nominowana, ale nie, ty musisz to wyciągnąć.
The expansion that we announced
Vessel
at
of
BlizzCon.
Hatred, yeah.
We've got so much stuff to bring to Diablo IV, and so we hope you'll join us for that.
Yeah, so thank you guys.
Czyli podwójny agent, no bez kitu, nie?
Through all these Campfire chats, all our developer update live streams, and we have a lot more planned for next year. Our next
Przypióra patrzy w tą kamerę i mówi, kurwa, po co na tym wspomina? Przecież to nie było sensu.
New York. Yeah, we're going to Albany. We actually, we have, of course, locations with multiple teams here working on Diablo IV. And we have a studio up in Albany that will be ready for Season 3.
Mam nadzieję, że skostują widzowie Poe, nie?
So we're looking forward to going live from there and checking out Season 3 and revealing more information about it next time you guys see us on stream. Before we do head off, of course, we want to remind people about some other Diablo
widzowie, to ma mega małe
during
zainteresowanie.
the
To ma 7000 widzów worldwide.
D2R, we are bringing back the 22 Nights of Terror that was introduced last year, so players will be able to actually experience that. D3, Season 30 PTR.
Mój sam kanał generuje 1700.
For that. So people will be able to see some of the balance changes that are coming in Season 30 for Diablo 3, and we'll have information about when that PTR is actually starting. And of course, Dark Nea's Tristram, which is a very popular event that happens every single new year. Will be happening to D3
już sobie nie dodawaj. Wiesz, jak jesteś zbyt głupi, żeby zobaczyć, że streamuję w dwóch miejscach, to jasne. Ale widzę, że nie umiesz kurwa dodawać. Ale musisz być tym kurwa tanim, urażonym Polakiem, który wykaże komuś błąd w momencie, w którym to on sam jest idiotą i nie potrafi czegoś dodać i wychwycić wszystkich informacji. Kurwa, jakie to jest smutne, nie? Dodał, to ty byś stary na kolejnej postaci, którą będziesz tworzył więcej punktów finta, nie? Koniec, widzowie. Ty, no to co, to przychodzimy na Poe, nie? Tymczasem na Path of Exile, widzowie, samo odliczanie ma już 30 000 widzów. Jezu, jak Blizzard nisko upadł, czajcie? Widzowie, to jest 26 minut odliczania i to ma 30 000 widzów.